OMG. Not being honest about your true feelings, lack of communication, and having your own selfish agenda will hinder any relationship. And it is very clear that is the problem on this show. Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole giving you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. And this is my review on Love and Marriage Detroit, Season 1, Episode 4, Skating on Thin Ice. So we start off where we left off last episode with Anthony crying, and Latoya says that she's never seen this side of him before, and now she knows that Anthony resented her for the Atlanta situation. And Anthony tries to say, I don't resent you. I'm just telling you how I feel. But Latoya says, no, you resent me because you're crying and you're emotional about this situation, so it still bothers you. And I agree. You do resent her for what happened, what occurred, and the fact that you felt that you were being attacked by her family. There's some resentment there. And I'm kind of curious to know what Anthony's background is as far as his family is concerned, like his mother, his father, because he said when he was crying that he doesn't have that many people. You guys are all I have. And, he said that he missed his grandma, I guess, because his grandma always had his back, as if no one else has his back that way. I think there's definitely a good story there. I don't know if he wants to share it, but I feel like if he gave us a little bit of his background, we may understand where he's coming from. Because I think at this point, what we see is that he truly admires Latoya's family, and he really desperately wants to always have their approval. So yeah, I'm kind of curious. So maybe we'll see that in the rest of the season about Anthony and his background. So moving on, we have Colby and Russell, and Colby is actually planning out one of her influencer events. Russell actually greets Colby's friend Chelsea about planning her surprise 30th, birthday party. And, of course, he's like, she nosy, just keep it, when you go up there, don't say anything. So Chelsea meets with Colby, and Colby talks about how she wants to do a collab with some Detroit brands. And she mentions a brand by the name of Harper Ray, and how she spoke to the owner of Harper Ray and found out that Christina is actually doing the same type of event. So Harper Ray was like, look, Christina came to us first. However, if Christina wants to collab with you on the event, then hey, we're all for it. So Colby thought it would be the perfect time to collab with Christina because they've been talking about doing a collab on an event for some time. However, Colby explains to Chelsea that when she texted Christina, Christina said she was kind of confused, or what was Colby actually asking her. So Colby was like, well, what is she confused about? And Chelsea said the same thing, like, well, what is she confused about? So at that point, we knew right then and there was going to be some tension because the battery was already in her back from Brandon. Of course, we saw that situation, I think, in the second episode. So, but Chelsea leaves on a positive note and was like, just continue to do you, and maybe you'll hear back from Christina soon. So then now we go to Christina and Brandon, and they are meeting with their marriage mentors. And I think that is a great idea. I know a lot of people do marriage counseling like before they get married, and when they have like truly like major situations that go on in the marriage, but I feel that marriage mentors where you guys can constantly like talk to someone, maybe on a monthly basis or every 3 months, 6 months, I think that's great because then you have literally that support system throughout your marriage. So they talk about the wine tasting event. And, one of the marriage mentors asked Christina, how did she feel in that situation? And Christina says she felt belittled, she felt unsafe, and she felt unprotected. And she had every right to feel that way because it was literally three men, including her own damn husband, who were ganging up on her, trying to make it seem like she was public enemy number one. And so, with that, Brandon actually admits that he has been selfish and he's about his own agenda and he will and wants to do better. So they kiss and they're pretty much going to say they're going to work it out. So next we have Latoya and Anthony, and they go to church, and she says to Anthony that he should talk to Latoya's father because in the last episode and even this episode, he mentions that Latoya's father kind of checked him and was like, I'm not liking what I'm hearing about how you're handling your family right now. So Anthony, of course, tries to play it off like he doesn't really care anymore. And Latoya's like, no, you do care. You need to talk to him. And that's what happens. Anthony talks to his father-in-law and he tries to explain his point of view about how he went to Atlanta to get into the TV film industry, and it was sacrifices that he was willing to make to put his family in a better situation. And so the father-in-law was like, okay, I get it. However, at the same time, sometimes you have to make sacrifices that's for the family and what was needed at that particular moment. And your son was going through some rough stuff at that time when it came to his school, and he needed his father. And at that moment, because I was seeing my grandson crying and going through what he was going through, he needed his daddy. And I agree. I do agree. This was an option. It was not a situation like he was in the military. You know what I mean? He wasn't in the military. It wasn't like they made him go overseas or go to another state, for his duties or whatever. This was an option. And the thing is, sometimes you got to hold off on those options because there's a priority when it comes to the family. And at that time, we were like literally, I think, in the pandemic. That's what she said. She said we were literally in the middle of the pandemic, right in the beginning of it. That wasn't the best time to go. So Anthony said he was hurt. He was hurt that, the father thought that he wasn't handling his responsibilities as a father and a husband. And so the father-in-law says, look, I apologize because I can't tell you how to feel. I just want to make sure everyone in my family, including you, are good and they're in the best situation. And they hug it out. Love the scene. It was a great way to see two generations, two Black men from two different generations talk through their feelings and how they felt, and no one belittling the other one and being able to hug it out and move forward. So next we have Kobe and Russell, and they're doing their own business meetings. Kobe is talking about the social media stuff. Russell is doing a walkthrough at the gym. Really nothing to see here, so I'm going to move on. So now we have the couples at the skating event. And it actually starts off well. They're laughing. They're having, Brandon can't really skate. Everybody is kind of like got their little skate legs kind of shaky right now. And it did start off good. Kobe and Russell come in a little later, and Kobe and Russell have a side conversation about the gym. And so I guess she didn't know that the meeting he had that day was the meeting about the gym. And she gets annoyed because she wants to be involved in every meeting. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that, Kobe, because like he said, it wasn't like he said, I had a meeting, I bought it, I signed the paperwork, we now have this business. He did a walkthrough. And it's nothing wrong with him doing a walkthrough and coming back to you with the information. And then at that point, then you guys can possibly go together. I just felt like it was a little unrealistic. But, at the same time, she says she wants to be involved. You could tell that he's like, you're probably not going to be involved in everything. And the reality is he's not involved in all of your stuff. I'm sure he doesn't even ask, nor does he even go in and listen to any of your meetings when it comes to your business. So I don't know. I just felt like a little unrealistic, but at the same time, at the end, she said, I just want updates. I want to know about everything. And I guess Russell kind of agrees with that, kind of. So now we have Anthony, and he talks to the men about how he wants to have a man meeting to help build strong men and make sure that Black men have resources in our community, which I think is a great idea. I think it's an excellent idea. I just think Anthony is the wrong person to lead it. That's simple. I wouldn't want him to be the lead the way that he talks to women and pops off at women. Nah, you definitely would not be the best person to lead that situation. Great idea though. You're just the wrong person to lead and execute it. I'm just saying. So now we have the drama between Colby and Christina. Of course, it has to happen at the skate event. They could not have a separate one-on-one. It has to be in front of Latoya and then eventually the men. So Colby tries to talk to Christina and says that, hey, I text you, I called you. And Christina's like, I don't remember you calling me. I remember the text messages. And she was like, no, I called you twice. From the beginning, in my opinion, both of them had their guards up. Both of them did. And now that I've heard Christina's live, and I'm going to talk about that because she did a live yesterday on Instagram, she did have her guard up. She doesn't want to admit it. She wants to say that she was completely calm. But here's the thing. Just because someone is a naturally emotional person like Colby doesn't mean that you weren't being passive aggressive too. They both had their guards up. So with that, Colby talks about, like, well, what's going on? Like, if you need someone to talk to. And Christina said, look, with what I was going through, I just needed my me time. I really didn't want to speak to anyone. Like, it sounds selfish, but I really had to focus on me. And I understand that, totally do. But I also understand Kobe's side by saying, I get it, but business does have to continue. And so with that, she's like, look, what about the collab situation? And Christina says, well, when I was thinking about collab, I was thinking like a day in the life of, or like a fashion collab, which to me, when she said that, that implies no, not a collab for Harper Ray, but maybe another type of collab. However, on her live, she claimed she wanted to collab with Colby on the Harper Ray. So which one is it? Okay. I personally think in that argument, from what I heard, Christina has no problem with collabing with Colby. She just wants Colby and her to collab on something from the ground up. That they literally collab together, find the person they're going to collab with, and they do it from the ground up together. Not Colby coming in on an event that she has already set up and already has the collab in place. That's what I heard in the situation. Not a proper way for her to really execute it though. But that's what I'm thinking that Christina meant. We can collab. And she even said, what have you pitched to me as far as brands that we can collab with together? What have you done as far as that is concerned? And Colby had to admit, I haven't done that. She was like, exactly. But you want to hop on this collab with Harper Ray, but you've never pitched to me about working on an event from the ground up where we work and we reach out to this person together and work on something together. So I get it. I get both sides. I get Christina's side because, again, I'm not an influencer. I'm not trying to be. I don't know what it takes to be able to get branding, be able to create an event. I'm going to assume it takes a lot. So if it does take a lot to do, and then you have someone who wants to just jump in on it, that may not be the best event. Because again, if I've put in all of the work already, why would I want you to jump in on it? On Colby's side, she's like, what does it matter? I'm not selfish like that. I feel like there's room for everyone. It's not a big deal. I guess it will really depend on what you think in the situation. I can understand both sides. Some people say it's not a big deal and let Kobe tell it. If it was the other way around, she wouldn't have an issue with it. But at the same time, maybe Christina is one of those people where there is a certain way to do business, and if I put in so much of the work, I wouldn't want anybody to jump on and try to collab with me because I've put in all the work already. If you want to do something together, let's do it together from the beginning, point blank. So there's the arguing back and forth. And, Christina says Kobe is getting defensive. I think both of them had their guard up, but the way that Kobe talks, that's Kobe. Kobe's emotional. You can tell she's very sensitive. She talks to Russell that way. She talks to her parents that way. That's who Kobe is. And I don't think that she would have treated that situation any differently, even if it was a different person. That's just who Kobe is. So I'm sure that annoyed Kobe because she's like, look, don't just automatically take it that I'm being defensive. I'm just hurt by what's going on. I think that's really the problem. Neither one of them want to be vulnerable to admit that they're hurt or they felt slighted. They don't want to admit that. So instead of admitting that, they just literally want to be on the defensive and not really hear each other out. So the man come over, and in my opinion, based on what we saw, Russell seemed very diplomatic, and he was like, look, you guys are sisters. You should be able to have those uncomfortable situations where you guys can talk and be able to say, look, sis, you moving too fast, or you doing too much, or you're stepping in my lane, and have those conversations. While it may be uncomfortable, you guys can just smooth it out and keep it moving. I agree with Russell, but then of course, Man Bun decides to put his input in it and literally stirs up some shit. And so he says, yeah, I agree, because it seems to me this has happened several times before, like with that makeup artist. And even Christina looked at him like, really? Like, really, bro? Like, are you crazy? And so Kobe was like, my agent came to me about that makeup artist. I didn't seek out that makeup artist. And so Brandon continues and says, but I'm just saying, it's been a couple of situations. And Kobe's like, well, give me examples. And he was like, I'm not going to give you examples. I'm just saying you coming off like a Kobe cat. So at that point, a lot of people was over it. Russell was over it, and he was like, you trying to ignite something? He was like, you know what? Don't talk to my wife. Don't talk to her. We not about this drama. Y'all may be about this drama, but we not about it. Let's go. Even Latoya's like, okay, this is too much. Like, I'm over it. And so the episode goes off. So I did look at Christina's live. Christina did a live yesterday. First things first, she said that her and Kobe have been great friends for 4.5 years. So to me, 4.5 years, y'all should have been able to really communicate better. But again, this is what happens with the lack of communication, not being honest, being selfish. It happens every time where friendships, relationships, anything can just truly go haywire because people aren't willing to be honest and vulnerable. So she said she's known her for that long, and they became really good friends. Now, this is what Christina said that was interesting to me. She said that, of course, Kobe knew about her having that Harper Ray collab, and she was the one who got that collab first. She said Kobe knew that. And, when it comes to reality shows, production will actually go to every cast member and say, well, what events do you have? What's going on? And they kind of yay or nay the events that they're actually going to follow. And so she said that Kobe went behind Christina's back and pitched the Harper Ray collab to production with no Christina. So in other words, she knew Christina had the collab. She went to production and said, hey, I want to actually do an event with Harper Ray for an event that I'm doing. And then production said, okay, cool. We'll mark you down as doing the Harper Ray event. By the time Christina got to production. Production already said, we already got a Harper Ray event with Kobe. So in other words, I guess they told her she couldn't do it because Kobe was already doing it. Mind you, Kobe didn't have the collab. Christina did. So in Christina's mind, she didn't know where Kobe was coming from, but she felt slighted. And that's why I said you could tell she was passive aggressive. She felt slighted, but she just didn't want to say it. But she claimed she didn't know where she was coming from. She said, I don't know where Kobe was coming from, but how do you pitch to production about a collab with Harper Ray when you know I have the collab? So it came off that, Kobe was being shady, or maybe she was trying to force Christina's hand to force Christina to have Kobe be a part of that event, even if Christina didn't want her to. Even though she claimed she did want Kobe to be a part of it. It's just how Kobe went about it that made her take a step back and say, this is not cool. So maybe she did want Kobe a part of it, but then when she realized what Kobe did, and this is her point of view, when she realized what Kobe did, she decided she just didn't want her to collab with her on the Harper Ray situation at all, and said, if you want to collab, fine, but come with your own ideas and your own branding and everything else, and we can work on it from the ground up. So that's what she said. That's her point of view. I would love to see if Kobe is actually going to talk about it and give her point of view on the situation. Based on what I'm hearing so far, I can understand Christina's perspective if Kobe did that. Now, again, production can be messy, Christina, so you don't necessarily know what the real deal is. So you should have spoke to her, and I understand you were going through your stuff through Brandon, but I felt like if you would have reached out at a decent time, Kobe wouldn't have had time to probably, in the back of her mind, feel slighted also. She probably felt a certain way that you had not reached out to her. And that's the reason why she had her guards up and you had your guards up based off of what you heard. So all of this, in my opinion, could have been avoided if there was just better communication. But what do you guys think about this episode? What do you think about the drama between, Kobe and Christina? I just hate to see my Black women going through this stuff. And of course, having so-called men like man bun stir the pot, which, by the way, Christina said that Brandon was dead wrong in what he did. But what did you guys think about the episode and everything that happened? Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on my next video. Toodles.